Hey, I've got for you today a primer on how disc detainer locks work. If you don't already know, a disc detainer lock is one, for example, this Yale 112. You can tell you have a disc detainer lock, first of all, because there is a big hole and you can kind of see a series of discs going through it. And the keys will look something like this, where you can see different cuts in the side, and you rotate it around and the same cuts are on the other side, so the key can be inserted either way. And what it does is rotate all of those discs inside, varying amounts, and that gives you an open on the padlock. What I have here is a 3D printed model that I have created. I call it the Cheeseburger Detainer Lock, and it is basically a flattened out version of a disc detainer lock. So first of all, you have the lock body. This is the outside of the lock. It is the cheeseburger bun. Next, you have the core. This is the cheese of the Cheeseburger Detainer Lock. The core would be the vessel that contains all of the different discs in the lock, and it just fits right into the body. Next, you have the ketchup, the sidebar, and that, you may have already guessed, fits right in there. And the way that the disc detainer works is all about that sidebar. Without the sidebar, it'll unlock and lock freely. So this represents when you rotate the key and it is unlocked. And you can see in this case the sidebar is up here. When you lock it back up, the sidebar fits into that little crevice there that's in the lock body. But of course right now nothing is stopping it from going between locked and unlocked. And in fact, the key doesn't interact with any of these parts. The key only interacts with the discs themselves. In this case, they are the hamburger. Now, you may have noticed at the start of the video, and I'm going to show you again right now, that the sidebar lays across them. And the reason it can do that is because each disc has a gate. And so when all the gates are lined up, that's what the key is doing. It's pushing them all varying degrees so that the gates line up. And when they all line up, then the sidebar can fit into them. If they're not lined up, it can't. So let's put this one in. Well, let's slide this sidebar back in first. All right. Now we're gonna put in a disc, and you can see right about here, it lines up. So we can continue to unlock our Cheeseburger Detainer Lock. But if it doesn't line up, then we can no longer unlock it because the sidebar doesn't have anywhere to go, so it's stuck in this crevice. So the key lines it up, and then it's able to go the rest of the way. But actually there's one more thing that needs to make a disc detainer lock work. So, if we're simulating this as if the key is coming in from the left, this clearly works, right? But you also have to think about gravity. A lock should work no matter which way it's oriented. But there's nothing that encourages the sidebar to go into the gate as it passes by, because gravity just wants it to keep going down. So at least one of your gates has to be a zero cut gate. Now, if you were to imagine in a real disc detainer lock, this would be a disc, as in a circle. And so this end would be connected to this end, and we'd effectively have a little bit of the circle that where the circumference is bigger than the rest of it. And that is key. So we have a zero cut, and what a zero cut means is that when this is pushed all the way as far as it'll go against the core, there will be a gap in the core where this is allowed to push on it. You can see that perfectly lines up the gate, which means now the key is pushing on the core. The key is pushing on the disc is pushing on the core, and the core is pushing on the sidebar. And if this one is also lined up, let me go ahead and get that lined up. There we go. So if everything is all lined up and the key is pushing on that zero cut, the zero cut, because it's a zero cut, is able to push on the core from over here instead of relying on the sidebar. So now, no matter which way this is facing, because the zero cut is in there, it can continue to push the sidebar and get the unlock. So those are the key components to get a disc detainer to work. You need the body that has a crevice. You need the core that has space for the sidebar to move through it. You need the sidebar so that it can seize up and not go anywhere if you don't have the right key. And you need at least one of your discs to be a zero cut in order to allow it to unlock it all. And this has been the Cheeseburger Detainer Lock.